So hello, you're very welcome to this week's restorative yoga and meditation class. I hope you're all keeping well and taking some time every day just to take a few breaths and try and keep a little bit of normality and routine in your lives during this very, very unusual time. So the next little while is about calming the body, the mind, well, calming the body anyway, and hoping the mind might follow, and creating a little bit of space for yourself out of the day-to-day, because we still have a day-to-day, and more so than ever, although our environment might have shrunk a little temporarily, we probably have a lot more to negotiate in terms of trying to understand and figure things out, and surrender a little bit as well to what's going on. So now it's just an opportunity for us to settle a little bit, to spend a little time together, and see if we can invite a little ease and rest into our world for the next little while. So you are in control here of your comfort, so make sure that you're listening to yourself and your body and making any adjustments along the way that you might like, rather than waiting for me to, because I can't actually see you. So if it doesn't feel comfortable, it's not going to be right for you. So just have any little wiggles and any little adjustments that you need to try and get yourself comfortable as we go through. And if you want to move around, if you want to get up and go to the loo or get a drink or anything along the way, make this your time. The same way as if you had come into the studio for your class. This is your time, and it's about you and supporting some of your needs. So I've got a load of pillows and blankets and towels and random things beside me here this evening. If you've got props at home, if you've got bolsters and blocks, I'll let you know when you can use them in place of the homemade props. But because most of you watching are likely to have actual yoga props, we'll try and give you alternatives to use at home, things that you should have around you. So I have a couple of cushions here. I have 2 or 3 pillows, and I have a large bath sheet and a smaller bath towel. So not the hand towel, but the middle one, and then the larger ones. And they're quite important for the practice. So if you're practicing at home and you don't have those handy, you can just take a few minutes to gather them. If you're watching online, you can just pause while you do that. And we'll be ready to get started then. So I'm going to start you this evening, rather than lying down in our usual Savasana pose. I'm going to start you off, or suggest that you start off in Viparita Karani, which is the legs up the wall pose. And that's because it's a really nice pose for settling the body and for quietening the mind. It's a pose that's really good for our immune health and for our for the parasympathetic nervous system, for activating. And it's different from something that you might normally do. So it's a nice way to start a practice sometimes, is actually to come into something a little bit differently, and then allow the body to settle maybe a little bit more fully, because it's almost turning yourselves upside down. So you'll want to have a blanket to cover yourself with, and you'll need either your wall, or if you're doing this in bed, you'll need to be by the head of the bed, or you need to be near part of the bed that can access the wall. And all we need to do to get into it is bring yourself up alongside your wall. Now I have my mat sideways, it's really just for demonstrating. So it's my idea for this. When you want your mat lengthways, so that when you have your legs up the wall, you have the mat behind you to support your head and your back. But don't worry about me not having one. Just imagine that it's facing towards you. You're going to bring your right side, your right hip. So sitting on your bum with your knees bent and your feet out in front of you, bring your right hip and almost your right shoulder right up against your wall, or right up against your skirting board, or whatever support you might be, whatever you might be using. And then you're going to roll over onto your left side and come into a fetal position. So knees are close to the belly, thighs are close to the belly, feet on the wall and bum up against the wall or the skirting board. And if you're a little bit taller, you might need to move your feet further away rather than having your knees too close to the belly, so that you can have both your feet against the wall and your bum and your hips against the wall. You're going to roll over onto your side or onto your back from your side, and then you hopefully will land so that your bum and is really close to the wall or really close to the skirting board, and your legs will comfortably rest up against the wall. I should have said, and apologies, that it's important that you don't sit in the middle of your mat to start off with, that you sit to the right edge of your mat, so that when you roll over on your back, you're not rolling over onto the floor or having half of your body onto the floor. And then your options here are to have your legs extended straight up along the wall, and you can really rest your heels and the backs of your legs into the wall. You can separate the legs into fan pose and just let the feet release out to the side. That gives you a little stretch for the inner thighs, and that's not what we're trying to target here, but it is an additional benefit. Or you might like to bring your legs into the butterfly pose, the goddess pose, where you bring the soles of your feet together and allow the knees to release out to the sides. No matter which way you go with your legs, just take a moment to lengthen the spine, just to be nice and comfortable on your back. And then you can decide what you want to do with your arms. They can either rest alongside the body, maybe a foot or two away from your hips with the palms towards the ceiling. You might like them in fan pose out to the side. You might like to take them into cactus pose with the hands back behind you and the elbows in line with the shoulders. Or for some people, it's really comfortable to stretch the arms back behind you. Now, my arms don't reach the floor when I do that, and that wouldn't be comfortable for me, for my body. You'll know if that's the position for you or not. So take a moment or two to settle, to land into a position that's comfortable. And if you feel that none of those positions are comfortable for you, and this just isn't for you this evening, or this morning, or whatever time it is when you're tuning in, take yourself back into Shavasana. So remember, you're in charge. You're in control of how you want to rest and how you want your body to be for the next little while. So taking a few moments to settle wherever you are. Cover yourself with your blanket. And then release all parts of your body that are making contact with support, whether that's the floor or the floor and the wall. Release yourself fully to those supports. Let the weight of your body rest fully in and down into your mat, down into your supports. Let any holding on in the body go. So the wall is there for you, for the legs. The floor is there for your back, or perhaps the floor is supporting the entire length of your body. Surrender your weight to the support. And let yourself be supported. Let yourself feel held. And know that for the next little while, there's nothing that you need to decide. There's nothing that you need to figure out. But what you can do is you can let go. You can just let yourself come to stillness and be. That doesn't mean you don't wiggle. It doesn't mean that you don't make little adjustments for your comfort. But it does mean that you have full permission for the next little while just to be. Notice where your body is making contact with your supports. And just feel a little more fully into them. So notice where the back of your head is resting. Release a little bit more the head to the support beneath. Relaxing your jaw. Softening your mouth, your lips, your tongue. Relaxing around the cheeks and the forehead. And just checking, would the neck enjoy or benefit from a little very gentle stretch from side to side, or from a little rolling? How do you want to ease out the head, release out the head and the shoulders. And then releasing your shoulders away from your ears. Allowing the arms to be nice and heavy and relaxed, the hands to be nice and heavy and relaxed. Checking that there's nice openness and spaciousness across your heart space, across your heart center. And that's really important at the moment, that we have this lovely opening across our chest. So if you feel that your shoulders are maybe hunching forwards a little bit, or you're perhaps feeling like you're bunched a little bit and resting on your spine, the thoracic spine, rather than on the strong muscular shoulders, if you rotate your palms towards the ceiling and one at a time tuck in your shoulder blades, you'll just have a little release there. And that encourages lovely openness across the chest. It's really important at the moment, because that helps to create space for the heart and the lungs just to breathe a little bit more easily. Create space for the oxygen to flow to nourish the organs. Relax your belly above and below the navel. Soften the muscles in your entire back. And just check, are you holding on to tension? Is there anywhere that you're holding on? Could you release out and let go? So rather than tightening, could you soften? Releasing your pelvis fully to the supports of either the floor, well, everybody's pelvis will be on the floor, so releasing the pelvis fully and then releasing the legs either to the wall or to the floor of the bed, wherever you are. So relaxing the thighs front and back, the knees, space around the knees, space behind the knees, your calves, your shins, the ankles, the toes, the tops and the soles of the feet. Releasing everything, softening everything. And then inviting your awareness, if the physical body is comfortable, so please make any little adjustments if you would like to support or increase your comfort. But if your physical body is okay, invite your awareness now to move towards your breath. And I'm going to suggest that firstly, we pay attention to the sound of the breath as it's coming and going. So just noticing on the inhalations, the sound of the breath making its way into your body. And noticing on your exhalations, the sound of your breath as it's leaving again. And flowing with that for a little while. Flowing with the breath as it moves in and as it moves out. And just tune in, notice any difference between the in-breath and the out-breath in terms of its tone or its volume. And perhaps start to pay a little bit more deliberate attention as the moments go by to the sound of your exhalation. And the reason for tuning in to the sound of the breath, when our eyes are closed, the sound is one of the things that we tune in a little bit more fully to. And the sound of the out breath in particular, it's got a real seashell-like quality, echoey sort of quality as it moves past the ears. It's almost like being by the sea, and the waves are gently lapping in and gently lapping out again. And many of us find that to be quite a soothing, quite a grounding and earthing sound. It's also the sound that your body hears, that you hear through the ears when you're asleep, when you're resting. So it's a sound that tells your nervous system that you're resting, that you're at ease. And that perhaps might just help to almost trick your nervous system into moving you towards that sort of ease if you're feeling a little bit tense and finding it a little bit harder to drop into a more relaxed place at the moment. It's also very similar to the sound that we hear when we're in the womb before we even make our way into the world. And at the moment, it's almost like we've gone back into the womb a little bit. We've retreated, we've come back into a smaller space. We're moving back right in, back to our home space. And this is because it's to be a place of safety. And our attitude and our perspective about how we look at this, we can feel stuck at home, we can feel forced to be home, or we can feel that we're home and we're safe, we're home to be safe. So just this idea that we're moving back into the safety in our nervous system of sleep, or the safety of being back, in the womb almost, I think can be something that might be reassuring to us on quite a primitive level, at the moment. So just tuning in whenever you feel a little dysregulated to the breath, and the sound of the breath can be really helpful. And I want you to just notice, in addition to the sound of the breath, and you can allow that to remain in your awareness, but look at the movement in the body in response to the breath as it's coming and going. As you're resting here, just noticing between your collarbone and your navel all of the movement that's occurring. As you inhale, there's a gentle expansion, a gentle opening, a lengthening in the side body, and a movement outwards towards the arms and the front and back of the body, particularly around the diaphragm and the chest, expanding outwards as well. On the exhalations, there's that movement back to center. And this is an energetic movement. It's not something that's it's visceral, it's on a physical level, but it's something that you wouldn't notice unless you were tuning in. So allow that tuning in, and perhaps that marrying of the sound of the breath as it comes and goes, and then the sensation in the body as the breath comes and goes, to be the focus of your awareness, of your attention, for the next little while, for the next, few minutes. Noticing that the beginning to the end of the movement on the inhalation matches and dances with the beginning to the end of the sound of the inhalation. And the beginning to the end of the sound of the exhalation as it makes its way out, it matches the beginning to the end of the movement as the body makes its way back to center on your exhalations. And just allowing yourself to flow with that rhythm for a breath or two. And then perhaps continuing with that and allowing these qualities of sound and movement. So it's almost like experiencing your breath on a sensory level. We just move beyond the senses and almost into a more energetic field. And as you inhale and you feel the body moving outwards, just feel the energy of your body as it moves outwards, your energetic field. And as you inhale and we have this lovely opening and lovely expansion, it's almost like a connection outwards, sending your energy out into the world, sending your energy out into the space around you, out around your home and out into a wider community. So we can connect externally on an energetic level. We can connect with people we love, people around us, people outside our immediate physical realm on an energetic level. And then all of the exhalations as the body moves back towards center, and you have then that gentle movement back towards center. It's almost like a returning home, returning back to your own core, back to your own center. So perhaps for a few breaths, and again with this echo in the background of the sound of the breath and this sense of movement that we are connecting with, on an energetic level, as you inhale, perhaps sense yourself connecting to the world around you, sense yourself connecting to people, the places, outside of your immediate environment on an energetic level, places that perhaps you can't visit today, or you can't, people that you can't be with right now, but we can connect with them energetically. And then on your retreat, on your return back home, just bring back some of the qualities of, positive qualities of the love and the joy and the appreciation that we have, some of the external qualities or external places and people that we have. Bring some of that home with you back towards your center. So it's almost like topping you up and nourishing you. And then as you inhale and you move back outwards again, you connect outwards, send some of your love, your compassion, your loving kindness and your hope and your trust back out into the world to perhaps connect with some of your tribe who might need a little bit of energetic support right now, a little bit of energetic love and compassion. And they have it to give back to you, so you can take some of that back when you exhale and return back home again. Just flowing with that for a few breaths and allowing yourself to be nurtured and nourished by it, and noticing and being really aware if it's bringing up anything, if it's bringing up any sensations of sadness or loss or whatever might be coming up right now. That's all okay. That's all part of your current experience. It's all part of a very shared, very personal, but very, very universal experience at the moment. Perhaps more so than any other time ever. You know, we're all going through our own journey individually, and then we're all sharing. So just allow yourself to be supported in that, but know that you have that space within that you can move back into and support yourself from moment to moment. And your breath can help you on that journey. So we're going to take a couple of nice sighing, cleansing breaths here, just to release out a little bit more, perhaps to invite a little bit more tension to dissolve out of the body. And what I'm going to invite you to do is, I'm going to invite you to imagine, particularly if you're still lying with your legs extended, and you can do this if you're lying prone, if you've come to lying on your back either, with the legs on the floor. But if the legs are up the wall, if you can just imagine as you inhale, a waterfall of whatever colours, imagine or bring to mind whatever colours visually represent to you or energetically represent to you healing. So it might be a rainbow of colour, it might be the colour of white, it might be any other colour that comes to mind for you. And just imagine if there's a waterfall cascading down over the soles of your feet and down along your legs. If you're lying with your legs extended, you might be energetically almost inhaling a nice mist through the body as you do this. And particularly the waterfall or the mist will come up and pool around the belly, and then back around behind us, around the back of the body, bathing the arms, bathing the back of the chest. So that your entire body as you inhale is being nourished, and you're inviting in this healing energy. And that healing energy can be about calling in strength, support, resilience, whatever qualities would be helpful to you right now in your day-to-day, calm, ease, balance. So almost use this exercise as a way of setting your sankalpa, your intention for your practice. What qualities, what energies do you want to call in to wash over you, to soothe you, to nourish you today and during this time? And then as you exhale, imagine that the entire parts of the body that are connecting either with the floor behind you or the wall supporting your legs, as you exhale, let your cares, worries, tensions, concerns, mental, physical, emotional anxieties, and stresses and strains just dissolve out to be absorbed by those supports behind you and beneath you. So you're inhaling this lovely, cleansing, nourishing energy, and you're literally allowing that to wrap around your body, swaddle you, soothe you, bathe you. And that's cleansing and it's revitalizing, and all of the strains and tensions that are not going to serve you in this moment, all of the things that you can't control right now, that your fears and worries don't support right now, just flow out of you, ebb away, to be transformed, to become almost like fertilizer for the next phase, fertilizer for new beginnings that lie ahead. So we'll just bring a sighing breath or two into this, and as you inhale, nice, full, long, deep, slow breaths through the nostrils. Again, you might want to continue this visual or this energetic invitation in of positive qualities, or you might just want to breathe. And then exhale, sigh out softly, slowly through the mouth, through the lips, allowing the body just to release, allowing tension to flow out, to move out of you. Find the stillness at the end of the breath, pause at the end of the breath, and then inviting another full, nourishing inhalation. And the sighing, cleansing, deep exhalation. And again, paying particular attention to the sounds of the breath here as they come and go. And then one last deep, full, nourishing, cleansing, resourcing inhalation for now. Exhale, sigh out, soften, and just see, is there something that you're holding on to tension to that maybe you're just becoming aware of now, or are there lots of parts of your body that you're just becoming aware of now, still holding tension? Can you invite them to soften? Can you let yourself dissolve and melt a little towards those supports? And then return to any kind of breath that feels nice for you, that feels good for you right now. So nice and slowly, you're going to bring your knees towards your chest, whether you're lying on your back or the legs are up against the wall. Wrap your arms around your shins, hold on to your wrists or your forearms, your elbows, whatever you can reach, and have a nice little release here from side to side. Just rolling across from side to side, across your back, across the spine, massaging out the vertebrae. Just take another moment or two of that. And then rolling over in your own time onto your right side. Make a little cradle for your head as you come round. And have a breath or two here. Let the body almost roll out into any shape that it wants to make. Let the feet go where they want to go. Let the arms, the shoulders go where they want to go, and just soften here. Relaxing your jaw, softening your mouth, your lips, your tongue. Relaxing the forehead again. Let your breath be nice and long, deep, slow and full. Softening, softening, releasing and letting go. And then you're going to take a moment to plant your right hand onto the floor and just really nice and slowly bring yourself up to sitting. And just come for a moment to maybe sitting on your sit bones with the feet out in front of you and the legs or the knees about shoulder distance apart. And I usually release the flesh from around my sit bones so I can feel a little bit more grounded and rooted. And particularly if that's like me, where you hold a lot of flesh, then that can be a helpful thing to do. We're just going to take a couple of small, fairly effortless stretches here before we move any further. If you're more comfortable to come to easy cross-legged, you can do that either. We're going to take the left hand to the floor, right hand to the waist, take the elbow back, take the shoulder back, and then just bending the left elbow a little so you bring your left shoulder closer to the floor and a little stretch into the right side of the body. And then you're going to inhale back to center. We're going to nice and slowly take that to the other side. And you cannot move too slowly with this. So left hand to the waist, left elbow back, bending the right elbow, right shoulder a bit closer to the floor. And then nice and tall and long in the spine as you come back to center. Next time we go around to the side, we're going to take the right arm up towards the ceiling, and maybe you might like to stretch across past the ear a little bit, and then nice and slowly, almost hypnotize yourself with slow movements here, back to the other side. Slow stretch, really be indulgent with it, really soften into it. Don't go any deeper than you need to. One more time to the other side, just to release out any little tension that we might be holding in the body there during the day, and inhaling back to center. And out to the other side. And back to center. We're just going to take a little side twist into it. So we're going to take the right hand to left knee. Left hand comes behind us, and imagine that you're opening a jar as you go around. You take that hand towards the ceiling, and then around behind you to meet the floor behind you. We're going to move in three parts here. So move down with the hand, lengthen up through the spine, and think about taking your navel around to the left side. Root down and rise up as you inhale, and then you're thinking about taking your right diaphragm round towards your left waist. And then finally root down, rise up, and we turn the chin to look towards the shoulders, so bringing the chest more into it. You can use the hand and the knee against each other for a little resistance, so that we don't collapse forward with the right shoulder. Root down on your inhale, and on your exhale, in your own time, as slowly as you can, or your body wants to, return to center. And you come back to center, and it's a real glide. You drift back to center. You're going to lengthen on your inhale, soften on your exhales. Lengthen and rise on your inhale again, and then your left hand will come to your right knee. We're going to open that jar as we go around with the right arm, and then we're going to sit up nice and tall on our inhalation. Navel moves around to the side a little on the exhalation. Pressing the hand and the knee against each other for resistance. Lift and lengthen on your inhale. Left side of your waist comes round towards the right side on your exhale. And then lengthen on your inhale, and on your exhale look over that shoulder, or in the direction of the shoulder, depending on how far your neck wants to move. Pressing the hand and the knee against each other. Lengthen on the inhale, and on an exhale, as slowly as you can, as mindfully as you can, almost feel yourself moving through the air back to center. Lengthen on your inhale, and then just lengthen forwards a little bit on your exhale. And don't round the upper back too much yet. You might need to move, if you've come to easy cross-legged, you might need to move one ankle in front of the other. If you have the feet in front of you, just come between the legs. And then we're going to sit tall again on the inhalation, lengthen forwards on the exhalation. And you can release the hands in front of you, either onto your feet or out between the feet if you're an easy cross-legged. Release your chin to your chest and allow that rounding now, like a rounding in your upper back and your thoracic spine. Just have a breath or two here. Nice, long, deep, slow, full breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Softening the mouth, the lips, the tongue, the entire face, the forehead. Inhaling and exhaling. One more breath here, one more full inhalation. Nice long exhalation. And then whenever you're ready, nice and slowly, just gliding yourself back up to sitting. You might give yourself a little massage as you go along the way as well. And just take a moment to have a breath and you come back in to the room. So we're going to find a couple of our towels now. So I mentioned earlier in a message earlier about at the beginning of the class about having a bath towel or bath sheet, which is the really big one, and we don't need that immediately, and then the kind of more normal sized bath towels, which used to be the big ones in the old days, but are the kind of middle sized one now. So if you have a blanket, either if you have a kind of softer blanket or a fleecy blanket, that would probably do the same thing as a bath towel if you don't have a towel to hand. So you're going to fold it in two initially. And then you're going to fold it in two again, not so that it's long, more so that it's the kind of, well, it's still rectangular, but it's the less skinny of the two rectangular shapes that it could be. And then starting with the side that's got the sort of the stitching on it that's going to be a bit harder, you're going to start to roll it into kind of sausage shape or sausage roll sort of shape, like this. So the part of it that's at the back, or the part of it that's where your seams would be, you want to go towards the floor. And then flatten that down a little bit and make sure that there's no hard edges or anything that are going to be sticking up in, because we're going to lie on this. We're going to put this, we're going to use this for releasing out muscles in the back. So initially what we're going to do is we're going to lie down on our backs. You can bend your knees if there's any discomfort for the lower back, otherwise you're going to lie straight. And you're going to put it across underneath where your bra strap would be. So effectively underneath your shoulder blades. The bra line is a good indicator, and if you don't wear a bra, or if you're male, then your shoulder blades are the nearest thing that I can come to give you guidance on this. And then you're going to lie back. Make sure that you're nice and comfortable here. So this is our heart opener position that we sometimes use the bolsters for. Before you come to bring your head to the floor at all, just make sure that you're not rolling onto the middle of your spine, that it's really underneath the shoulder blades here. And then you can support your head as you release your head back to the floor, so you know that you have enough space there for your neck. For most people, this is not too far back. If you feel that your neck is particularly strained or overarching, then just come back up and place maybe the other towel folded over maybe once or twice under your head to give yourself a little bit of head support. And you want to take your arms, wiggle yourself a little bit so it's really comfortable. Take a moment or two to do that. And then you're going to take your arms out to the side. And pretty quickly, hopefully you're going to experience that sort of deep release here. So you'll see that we're coming into a back bend with it. You'll immediately feel a very gentle but definite lengthening for the front of the body, particularly from your the digestive tract down towards your navel. Wiggle, maneuver if it's not comfortable for you. And if it's really uncomfortable or it feels painful, then what I'm going to invite you to do instead is, instead of having it lengthways across your mat, to bring it, sideways across your mat, bring it lengthways and lie back on it so that this blanket is underneath the middle of your spine rather than going across underneath your shoulder blades. And you want to have it coming up to just about the maybe an inch or two from the neck. So you can come this way either. But if it's comfortable or tolerable, and it shouldn't be tolerable, I want it to be at least a 7-inch comfort for you. It's offering you a really nice opening here for your chest. And again, it's just creating lovely length for the front of the body, with lovely openness and spaciousness here across the chest, the heart space, across the middle of the body, the solar plexus, and then you have a nice openness or a nice neutral position for the lower body. So that's great for the lungs and the heart in particular, and then the organs in the front of the body, the digestive system. So when we create openness and length in the body, and we take away some of the normal constriction that's there, we allow fluids to flow. And fluids really generally are about nourishing, bringing oxygen to the organs, and they might be about drainage and cleansing, taking toxins away, and things like lymphatic drainage. So when we have create this length and opening, we're really supporting that process, so the organs can become a little bit stronger, a little bit more vital. That's always important, and particularly at the moment. But generally also the muscles in the body are happy to relax when we create openness and spaciousness for them. So check, is there anything that's holding tension or tightness that you could let go of? Could you relax your arms? Could you relax your legs? Could you relax your chest? And I want you just to have one more full inhalation here and sighing exhalation. If you have moved the support so that it was lengthways along your spine, you can just stay there for a few minutes more. Otherwise, bring your hands alongside your waist and almost the fingers and the thumbs in underneath the hips, so that you can press down with your hands and your elbows and lift yourself up a little, and then lift yourself up high enough so that you can bring the padding down, or your support down, to your middle back. So your middle back would be, you want the bottom of your little sausage roll here to be round about the bottom of your diaphragm, your rib cage, and then you can release back here. If that's uncomfortable, just lift yourself up a little and move it down a little bit further. If it's very uncomfortable, bend your knees. See, does that really resolve it for you? And again, same guidance as before. If it just doesn't work for you at all, if it's creating any kind of cramping or tension, turn your blanket rolls lengthways so that the bottom of it is maybe around about the back of where the diaphragm would come around to the back of the body, the base of the diaphragm, and then you have it up along your spine between your shoulders, so come to here. Otherwise, I just invite you to take 3 or 4 nice, long, deep, slow breaths with this. If it's in the middle of the body, if it's lengthways along your body, you're going to be there for a few extra minutes anyway. Nice full inhalation, so we're releasing out the middle of the back here. Sighing exhalations. You might feel that a little bit more fully around your digestive area. You're really just lengthening out and stretching out the muscles at the front of the body here, particularly in that space, almost that sort of space that's created around the belly, the shape of the diaphragm there. Have a breath or two here. And when you've taken those 3 or 4 breaths, bend your knees. You're going to lift your hips and you're going to bring the roll, your little sandwich or your roll, down to your lower back. So not your bum cheeks, so more the and just above that sort of pelvic, that where the lower back really turns into that pelvic bone. So the small of your back effectively. And again, wiggle it and maneuver it until you find a point that's comfortable. Keep the knees bent if it's creating any tension. Otherwise, extend your legs and let the feet just fall out. Take a moment or two to wiggle and find the release here. So just releasing at the lower back, and then we're just lengthening here a little bit more around the lower part of the front of the body, which is particularly around your reproductive organs. Hands towards the ceiling. Again, if that was unpleasant or uncomfortable for you, you go to the option where we place your support lengthways along your spine. Have a few breaths here. This is really nice for releasing out the entire back. You will have a sweet spot. You will have one of those 3, more than likely, that felt like it gave you more of a kind of release than the other. And if you're using the bolster lengthways, hopefully you would have kind of gotten that for the length of your body more in one go. So this kind of sense of release might be telling you something about where you hold tension or tightness in your body. It's a physio-approved type of exercise. It's in physiotherapy, so it's the kind of thing that you can you could do maybe once a day if you feel like you're holding a lot of tension in your back or have soreness or stiffness in your back. Particularly at the moment as the weather gets better and you're out gardening, or maybe you're out of your usual sort of exercise routine. It's just important to limber up in different ways. So have 2 more breaths here. Let them be nice and long and deep and slow and full, and see, can you invite in any releases, any sighing, cleansing release. And then in your own time, when you've had those few breaths, you'll bend your knees. Again, ground your elbows and the palms of the hands. I find holding onto the sides of my hips and my buttocks just help to give me a little bit of a lift there. I'm going to bring myself up to almost towards sitting, so I can take this now so that it's lengthways. And again, I'm trying to target the area around. So here's my diaphragm. That's where it ends there, comes around my body, so that the base of the diaphragm, where that kind of comes across my spine here, at the bottom of the blanket is round there, and then when I lie back, and to make sure it hasn't rolled open and you're not just lying on a flat blanket, then you're going to lie back. And if this is, again, if it's creating too much wiggle, so what you want to find that the middle of your spine is supported on the blanket and not hanging off one side or the other, and that can take a little wiggle and sometimes resolve that. When you release your head to the floor, if it feels like it's overarching for your neck, either scoot a little bit further up along it, so that maybe there's not as much distance, it might have been too high up your back, or pop up and support underneath your head, and just have a few breaths here. Nice full inhalations and sighing exhalations. And particularly if you have pain across your upper back or your shoulders, if you have a lot of tension in the neck, this can be a little bit of go dust for you. So I have been known on occasions when I've had tension in that part of my body. I have much less of it these days because of doing so much yoga, but there was a point where that was a very tricky part of my body for me, and sometimes I'd go to bed like this. I'd have a pillow under my head in bed, and you can stay there for as long as you like. You'll just find that when you wake up in the morning, you have a towel on the floor, and you'll be wondering how it got there. But it can be a really nice way to release out for rest and sleep as well. So have a few nice, long, deep, slow breaths here. Nice, long inhalations. And sighing exhalations. Sighing out softly, out, letting go. Noticing whatever you're noticing, if you find your mind wandering off into places that aren't relaxed and nurturing. Remember the sound of your breath, those waves of the breath as they come and go. Remember that visualization of inhaling, of the healing colours to cleanse and nourish your body. And remember the symbolism of the back of the body, the points of connection with the floor as little points that release tension out into the earth to be transformed. Fertilizer that nourishes and feeds plants and trees and creates new life always comes from something else that's become waste. Something that was good that's no longer useful or no longer vital. So allow any mental, physical, emotional, energetic debris or waste that you might be carrying or holding just to flow out so that it can be transformed and come back to nourish you in ways that you can't yet even imagine. So we're going to have 2 or 3 more breaths here, nice long, deep, slow, full breaths. Some full inhalations and sighing exhalations. And then in your own time, I'm going to invite you to bend your knees. Get the knees falling towards each other for a moment, and just notice that you might rock almost up along your support a little bit. And then bend your right arm and elbow so that you can nice and slowly roll over. It's a very gentle roll off. You're not really going very far. Onto your side and have a breath or 2 here. See, does the body want to sigh after that? Because it's quite an opening that we've had there. We've had a lovely opening, back bending there for the front of the body. Nice releasing for the muscles in the back, and a lovely release for the muscles at the front of the body. Lots of the other thing that happens when we create length in the body and spaciousness is that trapped energy finds little pockets of release. So just take a moment to absorb that, absorb the benefits of that, however they might be showing up. Softening everything, relaxing everything. And then in your own time, you're going to plant that right hand into the floor and nice and slowly come back up towards sitting again. And just when you do come up, just take a moment to allow everything just to rest, allow everything to land there. So you just shifting energy around again. So after all that, almost like lengthening and creating space and organs breathing and little trap pockets of energy, you can almost feel a little lightheaded when you come out of it, because it's very grounding for the nervous system. And that effectively was plenty of back bending there, so kind of opening, lengthening the front of the body and taking the shoulders back, the head and the neck back, the lower back, sort of almost very gentle banana bending of the back of the body. Not really banana bending because we did it little by little, but just see what kind of impact that has on you. Back bends and any of those things where we open the shoulders, so things like when we go into, things like where we use the bolsters, and we go into things like fish and goddess pose, or what we've just done there, are supposedly very, for various reasons, partly physiological and partly sort of mental, emotional well-being, really good, not just for your immune health and for the organs, and particularly the heart and the lungs, but also for mood. So, and it makes sense. So from the psychology point of view and the mind-body sort of feedback, when you have your shoulders hunched forward and your breastbone is closer to your navel, that's your depressive pose. And in the back bends, we're opening up completely, and it's almost like the equivalent of a power pose. In the office, you sort of like you sit like this, you're going to feel more confident. You hunch like this, you're depressed. Your body is telling your mind you're depressed and you're anxious and you're nervous. So particularly at the moment when we are worried and anxious and nervous, we can trick our brains, we can trick our nervous system to settling and calming. Watch out for your shoulders, watch out that they're not hunching forward, so that they're nice and open, and maybe have some little exercise every day where you have a bit of a back bend into it. Really helps your mood, and will help you to keep your mood balanced and stable, and then also lovely and particularly supportive for the organs as well. But because we've been back bending, we need to counterbalance, or it will be important to counterbalance. So if you have a bolster, you can get your bolster set up so that it's in front of you. We're going to come into a supported child's pose for this. If you don't have bolsters, and I'm not using bolsters because I'm assuming that most people don't have them at home, so I'm not going to cheat and tell you to do things and not show you what I'm talking about. So what I would say is, I mentioned about having a block or some books. So what I've done is I've made a kind of a homemade block. Now you don't have to have them in this particular, you probably want just 3 or 4 books in a little stack. Probably something that's going to be about 2.5 to 3 inches in height, and this would probably be 2 flat blocks, so 1 chunky block if you're using the real life yoga blocks. And what I've done, and they're mostly yoga books, what I've done is, they don't have to be yoga books at home, is I've put some cellophane around them or some cling film so that they stay together. So you won't have done that tonight because I did that about 5 minutes before the class started. It just came into my head. But it might be a useful thing to do if you have a few books and you don't have blocks that you're not going to be using for the next little while. Wrap them up, or even if you had a plastic bag, just so that they're not going to be moving and wobbling all over the place. And also it makes them easier to pick up and transport. So you just want something to give you a little bit of elevation. If you don't have a block handy and you have a couple of cushions, you could use your cushions almost as your base for your elevation. And then you're going to take your pillows, and you want to get them kind of nice and firm. So I'd suggest probably about, unless you have very firm pillows, if you have more kind of, these are the duck feather and downy kind of ones, you're going to stack them up. Or this is your bolster on a block, if that's what you have. And then you might even, if you feel like there's just not enough volume in it, you might even want maybe a cushion or something in between, so that you just have a nice little bit of height here. I'm going to give you 2 versions or 2 options in this. So this is the option that your knees aren't bothered by being bent, and you're happy in your child's pose to come to sitting back onto your heels. So big toes together, knees either side of your bolster or your makeshift bolster, and then you're going to release forwards. And you can support your head with your hands, and you really want your belly to be nice and supported here. So you can release your head, you're either onto your right or left cheek, your hands can be on the floor, wherever is comfortable really, and then you're releasing forwards here. For those knees, or for people whose knees don't like to be bent like that, you're going to take away your block or your block substitute. You're going to take your pile of blankets, or not blankets, sorry, they're pillows, aren't they? About halfway down your mat, and again, really have an extra cushion on here for a bit of extra volume. And then you're going to lie across them, and you want your chest supported on the bolster, so you don't want your chest hanging off. Legs are behind you, legs are extended straight behind you, and then you can release. I'm stacking my hands here, I'm releasing my forehead to my hands. That allows the same releasing forwards of the shoulders, which is what we're really targeting here on this, and it's a release there for your lower back. You're not getting the hip opener that you're getting if you have if you're back with your bum on your heels, but there's no point in getting a hip opener if it's crucifying you. So in this variation, you can release your forehead to the floor, or if you wanted to come a little further along and have your chest not fully supported, you could take your arms out in front of you and release your forehead to the floor. And if you're doing this variation, I'd probably suggest taking your legs wide either side of your pillows like that. And if you were to do that and bring your toes in towards each other, then you would be moving in towards a hip opener variation. And then you're going to just find your breath, settle into it, sigh out, soften into it, settle into it, and surrender. So our forward bends, we're counterbalancing the back bend, we're allowing the shoulders to release a little bit forwards but in a very, it's not the same as hunching forwards like I was modelling earlier as a depressive pose. It's in a way that's supported enough so that it's a gentle release, but you're not collapsing forwards in the way that we might do if we were hunching. You're giving the organs at the front of the body a nice massage. So turn your head from side to side if you're in the variation where your head is resting on the bolster or resting on the cushions. Turn your head to the opposite side every few breaths just to release both sides of the neck. But the compression, the gentle compression of the supports at the front of the body, you're giving the organs a little massage there. And that's helping to release toxins, and again, that's really helpful for cleansing. On a more of a psychological or an emotional level, forward bends are considered to be poses of surrender, where we just give in and we surrender into our supports. It's almost like we give our heart to the earth, and we trust it. And I think we're all going through a process of trying to change our attitudes and adjust to temporary but very new and very unexpected circumstances, and sometimes fighting with that, battling against that just doesn't help us. It creates a lot of suffering. And releasing into it, surrendering to it, and just thinking, accepting that for now this is where we are, and this is how we can support ourselves best in the long run, we can support each other best in the long run, is where we need to be at, just to keep ourselves moving through, and also to regain some control. Because if we take that control of, I can do what I can do, and this is something I can do, we're empowered again. If we're fighting against something that is bigger than us, is bigger than the whole world at the moment, then we're going to feel very overwhelmed. So I encourage you for your next few breaths as you exhale, just to surrender some of the attachments that you have to things being a particular way. I've had to work very hard on this of late. For all my mindfulness, I still have things that I wish were a particular way, and letting that go. And again, letting whatever comes up with it, if that brings up emotion, if it brings up sadness, if it brings up grief or loss or anger or frustration, that's okay. That's what happens sometimes when we quieten, when we settle. We create space and we create safety for difficult emotions to surface. They surface to be dispersed, to be released. So if you're finding as you're going through these quieter practices at the moment, that's what's happening, it's healthy. It's a healthy release, and I'd encourage it and just allow yourself to breathe into it and breathe through it. So have 3 or 4 more breaths here. Nice, long, deep, slow, lovely, nurturing breaths. Sigh out. Is there anything else you can surrender? Is there anything else you can let go of right now? Is there anything else you can just send to the earth to be transformed, to be sorted out for you? And just let whatever comes up, whatever it is, be. It might be peace, it might be acceptance, it might be relaxation, it might be absolute grief. Whatever is presenting is okay. And it's safe to let go. You're at home. You're safe at home. And just softening into it, releasing into it. Have 1 or 2 more breaths here. And maybe just slightly more everyday breaths, the kind of breaths that's going to wake you up again. And then we're going to think about moving ourselves out in this. So if you're in the extended version where the legs were straight and the knees weren't bent, I would say curl your toes, bring your hands back maybe underneath your shoulders, and then just press yourself up, lifting your hips and your going back towards your hands, but you can come to sitting. And if you are in the variation where your knees were either side of the bolster, you're going to just press back up to your heels. Have a breath when you come up, have a sigh, have a drink, have whatever you need, and then we're going to set you up for your last 10 minutes or so of relaxation. So again, I'm working on the basis that you don't have bolsters. If you have your bolster, I'm going to get you set up now for your Satyavanasana, your aligned round angle pose, which I call goddess pose. So this is where you'll get your either 3 flat blocks or 2 chunky blocks. Prop your bolster up on the blocks. So this is my arm is the bolster, and we'll pretend these are the blocks. And you're going to sit up against that with your pelvis up to the blocks, and give yourself a little head support there with a blanket or a pillow. Cover yourself up with a blanket. So if you're doing this at home, I want you to imagine that you're in bed, and maybe you're not imagining that you're in bed, maybe you're in bed, but you know when you're in bed at night and you have a cold or a cough or a bit congested, and you need to raise yourself up on your pillows to manage that. So that's what we want to be moving towards. Now just these blankets again, or these towels again, and if you don't, and if you have the props, it's good to be able to see these, because you might want to practice with a partner someday, and you might have 2 sets of props, or you might have somebody else living in your house that you want to do something with, or sometime in the future you might have a friend and you might want to show your friend how to do things. So as well as your cushions, so your few pillows that you have, and whatever cushions you have. So I have 3 pillows and I have 2 cushions here. So get your bath towel now. This is the huge, big, giant towel that usually covers us, or if you're tiny like me, it covers you. And you're going to take it in half, and then you're going to fold it in half from there. And then we're going to fold that in half. And then you're going to fold that in half on the long fold this time, so that you do end up with a longer one rather than, so we're not looking for this, we're looking for this kind of shape. Now, I'm going to use just one of these tonight. You could, if you try this now and you want to do it again, maybe tomorrow or some other time, you could potentially even do this twice. Okay, and then you're going to get your, I feel like one of those make and do programs. I might do a class actually on makeshift props. You're going to get your bath towel then, and that's, you have that folded into, pop it down, and you're going to roll your other formation here that you've made in your bath towel, just roll along, so to give it an extra bit of height and to give it a little bit more stability, so that you're going to end up with something like this. And this is just firmer. If you had a firm blanket, so if you had something like the yoga blankets, the cotton ones that are quite firm, you could use one of those instead. These kind of fleecy blankets, so the difference between a towel that's quite squishy, whereas this, it's just that little bit more supportive, and if you had even two of these in, it's going to be that little bit stronger. And that's just going to give you a little bit of an extra spinal support here. So imagine that you're in your bed, prop people are probably already halfway to sleep by now, and the head of your bed or your whatever it is, put your blocks there first of all, just to give you a little bit of elevation. And in the same way that you would probably do if you were trying to prop yourself up on a few pillows, you'd probably put one sideways, and then you'd probably put a few stacked up like that so that you could lie back. And now you're not going to cough as much. And I would be suggesting that you take an extra little maybe blanket roll or something here for your head anyway. But what you're going to do this time as well is you're going to put your homemade bolster here, because that's going to give you a little bit of firmness for your back, for your spine, and make this way more comfortable. And then you're going to take a couple of cushions to either side of the body, and these are in place of a second bolster. Sometimes we use two bolsters, one for the lower body and one for the upper body, or in place of the extra blocks, because I don't think books are the most comfortable thing for this. And these are, so I have these IKEA kind of flat cushions, they're not very dense, so I use those rolled over. If you've got firm cushions, you might need to double them over like this. You're going to lie, as you would do, against your bolster, with your bum up against your pillows, the towel wrap bolster thing to the base of your, I would say about halfway up your pelvis, and you're going to lie back into it. And you might need to scoot yourself away a little bit. I am going to give myself a little bit of an extra head support here, because I feel like I need it for my neck. And then I have feet come together and the knees fall out to the side. And you can take a few minutes, and please do, to be really comfortable with your back. Your back wants to feel really supported here. Wants to feel like this is nice and firm behind you. You don't want to feel like you're squishy out to the sides. And then the palms come towards the ceiling, backs of the hands to the floor, and you can release. And now that you know how to do this at home, I'm probably never going to see you in class again. You're probably going to spend the rest of your life on your bed like this, and why wouldn't you? Because it's lovely. So if you're having problems going to sleep, you might need to commandeer the bed over for yourself. This is a great way to sleep. If you want to take 20 minutes out during the day, this is your go-to pose. This gives you your opening across your heart space, your lungs and your heart, your digestive system, your reproductive organs, your hip opener, your gentle opening for the shoulders and the upper back. Lovely flow of energy. So this is a little bit of magic. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you haven't already done so. I'm going to finish with Sarve Sham, our favourite Shavasana song. And I'm just going to guide you for 2 minutes before I invite you to find the sound of your breath again. And just flow with that as you allow yourself to float towards stillness. Relax your jaw. Soften your mouth, your lips, your tongue. Relaxing your forehead. Relaxing and softening around the temples and letting the entire face dissolve into relaxation. Relaxing the scalp. Letting the head rest comfortably. Relaxing the back, shoulders, middle lower back, pelvis. Relaxing your legs, the hips, the glutes. Make any little adjustments now that would support your comfort, that will allow you to release and rest most comfortably for the next few minutes. And then relaxing anything that's holding tension. Allow the physical body to dissolve away from your awareness. And relax your attention towards your breath. Flow with the breath. Moment to moment. The echo, the seashell, the waves of your breath. Soothing you, ground you, bathe you in the healing light of your own inner light, your own inner peace, your own effortless being. Just allow yourself to be here, be now. And if your mind wanders beyond the present moment, invite it back. In the present moment, you're here, you're safe, you're well. Present moment, like you do. May I be well. May I be happy. May I ride the waves of my life. May I live in peace. No matter what I do. For your last few minutes, I suggest that you just extend your legs, coming in towards fish pose. So you can do this either popping cushions underneath your knees, or with the legs extended onto the floor, palms towards the ceiling. Take a nice long, deep, slow, full inhalation. Sighing, softening, exhalation. Let your breath be nice and long, deep, slow, and full. May we each be well. May we each be happy. May we ride the waves of our lives. May we live in peace amongst all we are given, and offering these words of loving kindness to ourselves, to each other, to our family, our friends, our wider community, to all people, all countries near and far. May we be well and find the peace that we need to find to bring us all back together again. So you are at home, and that means that you have nowhere to go yet, apart from maybe for a cup of tea in the kitchen later, but right now you can rest here for as long as you'd like to continue to rest. You can settle. You can stay with your breath. You can stay in the pose that you're in, or return to any pose that you might have found nurturing, nourishing earlier on. And you have the practice to repeat at any time for the next little while that you want to dip back into it. So give yourself what you need right now, and try and take a little time each day just to check in with yourself, to check in with your breath, and to do something, at least for a few minutes, that just helps to ground you, to nourish you, to soothe you. And that's the kind of inner peace that we can develop. It can be really important for our resilience and our well-being. at all times, and particularly in times when we're under a little more pressure. And that sort of inner peace and ease is also very contagious, and we want to spread a little of that as much as we can, but we need to start with ourselves, and we probably need to start with ourselves over and over and over and over again as we ebb and flow through the days ahead. So take care, be well, stay safe, and I will see you back for practice next week. Get in touch with me at any stage if you want to chat, or if you have any questions, or if there's anything I can help you with. But for now, namaste. Thank you.